Masonic Light Podcast. This is Past Master Moyer calling in with my critique/review of episode 97, Digital Order Knights of the Quarantine. I was able to participate in this play, we'll call it. That's what Merris calls it. It's not a degree. Thought it went real well, and everybody did a great job. My only complaint is the call-in was not me. For a previous episode, it was Larry Merris complaining about my part. Merris, I was not eating potato chips. I was rustling papers. And if your sick butt wouldn't have been in the hospital and you would have participated in rehearsals, you would have seen that the writer, editor, director, brainchild behind this whole endeavor, Jack Harley, had instructions in my part to be rustling papers when I first started to talk. So once again, you boob, you don't know what you're talking about. Go back to sleep, go to the bathroom, do whatever it is you normally do on an episode, but stop picking on me. I'm too far advanced. You're not near smart enough to wrap circles logically around me. Anyway, guys, I think I'm all caught up. I don't think there's an episode 98, so I'll be in touch soon. Bye.
From the new recording lair located deep beneath the Wine and Spirit store in Ephrata, Pennsylvania.
You're listening to the Masonic Light Podcast.
Studio 665 presents Masonic Light Podcast. This show is recorded by Masons, for Masons, and is for entertainment purposes only. And please, no wagering.
This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. And now, here's your host.
Hey, everybody, welcome. It's episode 98.
98.
98. Oh, my God.
We need to start party planning, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do for the big 100. Larry, what did you do for your 100th birthday?
For my 100th birthday, spent it in the hospital.
Oh.
So, Larry, welcome back. This is your official welcome back since you weren't on the last show because you left too early.
Yeah, because I was still very much in the weak side. Yeah. I'm glad to be back, really. Glad to be able to participate in a whole show.
Ooh. Did he just say a-hole show? Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Oh, God. We're going to run out of these jokes. Man. We have to pace ourselves.
So, Larry, we'll start with you. Tell our audience what you've been up to since they've heard from you last.
Well, since they've heard from me last, trying to slowly regain my voice back, which hasn't been an easy task. I've been doing very, very well on the recuperation front. Actually, very well. And I'm just totally glad to be back. But Masonically, I really haven't done much of anything but you guys. And it's been a real trip right there, by the way. And I'm glad I was able to do that. So it's good to be back. And each day I get better and better and better. Today I actually walked the length of the house with a cane. So I'm not using, I am using a walker, obviously. But I started walking with a cane. And I'll tell you, after using a walker for like weeks and walking with a cane, it was a hell of a different experience. Whoa. But anyway, it's good to be back. So I haven't done anything Masonically at all, really.
Well, continue to get well. That's what we all want.
Yep.
Tim, what do you have going on?
Well, in the last 2 weeks, I've done a ton of Zoom calls. Of course, our nightly toast that we've been doing, we've been averaging, 15, 16 guys a night on that. Still getting a variety of folks from all over Pennsylvania and several states that a couple guys have become like regulars on this. And I guess other than that, I joined in on the Ubar Grotto calls this past week. where we played the Digital Nights of the Quarantine for, I think, what were there, 3 people on there that hadn't seen it before?
Yeah, it was the 2 of us and 3 others.
So I think the Monarch was a little disappointed by the turnout, but anyway, yeah, that's been about it for the last couple of weeks.
All righty, Josh, what have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. Just getting ready for our upcoming Zoom meeting for Lamberton Lodge number 476. Put together the notice that we still send out, and we're planning on having. Now this is going to be after probably our next show, even, but we're planning on doing something on the night of the anniversary of Lamberton because it's our 150th this year. So we're thinking about maybe doing like a little Zoom party thing, toasts, and maybe some history of the lodge or whatever. But just been kind of kicking that around and trying to figure out something to do.
Well, here's my one tip. The first worshipful master of Lamberton Lodge is buried in that Episcopal cemetery on Duke Street.
Oh, okay.
I think we should all someday just walk down there in our outfits and I don't know, do a little something graveside. Yeah,
that'd be sweet. Definitely. We'll have to set it up.
Jack, what's going on in Ephrata?
We're all afraid of anything different. So that's all that's going on here. The Masonically, nothing. I'm a little, I'm going to be honest. I'm a little, I don't know if I want to say disappointed or what with leadership. I wish that our guys would stay better in touch with the members. And I don't, I'm at a point where I'm a grumpy past master, so I don't want to, step on people's toes, but it's been an awfully long time since there was a Zoom meeting or a reach out. We tried to do that 20 for 20, where we reached out, 20 guys reached 20 people. And that was nice, but that was, 6 weeks ago. And you have to stay in touch with people. That's a big part of what this fraternity is about. And I would like to see more of that. So for me, other than that, it's been, we had several publications ask for an article about the degree. So I was working on that, but now all that's been done and submitted and sent off. So now we're just packing envelopes full of rules.
Yeah, that's been my life. I learned a lot of lessons on this project. Collecting information from like 5 different sources and trying to collate it. So if we ever do this again, it'll be done much better. But we had no idea that people would buy 500 of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking like 20 people? 50 people maybe?
Listen, when they see this alternative jewel, the naughty jewel, I think you're going to sell another couple of hundred of those. They're gorgeous, those jewels.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, it's really sinister. It looks like right out of Fallout.
Oh my word, they're fantastic. So yeah, that's exciting. But definitely did it the hard way for sure.
All right, well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have a little discussion here about what do we think is going to come out of this on the Masonic front.
Why choose George J. Grove & Sons for your next home improvement project? At George J. Grove & Sons, we've built our reputation on quality and trust for more than 50 years. For planning to materials to installation, George J. Grove promises a home improvement experience second to none. Whether your goal is reducing energy costs, decreasing maintenance, updating curb appeal, or simply increasing the value of your home, the George J. Grove team will recommend and provide solutions that stand the test of time. Call 717-393-0859 for an estimate or visit us at georgejgrove.com.
welcome back. Gravelly voice myself is trying to get my voice strengthened. So basically, what we're going to do is talk about. Hey, Jack, what did I say we're going to talk about?
You need to ask him to restart those drugs, Larry.
We've missed you, Larry.
Oh, so much.
Something about how's the face of Freemasonry going to change after what we've been through with this pandemic or whatever you want to call it. How's it going to affect us? I guess that's what we're going to talk about.
Very good, Larry. Well done.
Okay. I remembered it, but not in the exact order. Anyway.
Close enough.
Words to that effect.
Well, how do you think it's going to change?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's going to distill down to be something similar but different. I think the post World War II boom is done. There's a few guys that are still with us, and that's wonderful. But what turned it into a giant, complicated bowling league is over. And the people that are in it and are active are looking for something more than that. They're looking for something different. And we've talked about this a million times. And I think this is going to accelerate that change. So the people that are looking for the esoteric stuff have found a whole bunch of new sources for it. And people that are looking for fellowship have found digital sources for it. And people that are looking for the history part of it, all of those 5 aspects that we talked about previous episodes, all of those are going to distill down, I think, and become solid channels of fewer people, but more interested and more dedicated. That's my opinion.
How about you, Tim? What do you think?
Well, in many ways, I agree with Jack. I think we will come back slowly. I think there will be people, once our lodges are open, who will make the conscious decision that it's just not in their best interest right now to come back right away. And I think eventually that we, obviously, once vaccines are found and things like that, we may see a return to that. But I think Jack's probably right in the sense that this is an opportunity for the post World War II group, I guess, if that's how we refer to it, to really make Freemasonry what they've been saying they want it to be, what we say we want it to be. And I think you're starting to see that already in some ways. I mean, I think I've heard that in conversations on the nightly toast calls we have from the younger guys. I think it will. I think there will still be some rough patches that we go through with that, because obviously things in Freemasonry don't change quickly, and it will take a while. But I think what we are going to become will be very different than what we just left. I think you're certainly going to see a lot more family-centered things within Freemasonry, because I know within the younger members within my lodge, they face many of the things that those who came into Freemasonry at a younger age faced, which is trying to find that balance between home life, work life, church life, if they have that, and Freemasonry. And I think for some, it got down to, home life versus Freemasonry. I think with the younger folks, obviously, they have more interests that are out there. And I think you're going to see that come into play, perhaps more so than what we've seen in the last, 50, 60, 70 years.
Josh, you're currently Master of the Lodge. What's your take on the new reality that may be descending on us?
It's kind of weird. Rob and I were just talking about this earlier today, actually. I just think it's going to be a little odd coming back for meetings whenever we do start meeting in person, just because, the whole getting together for dinner, if we're still supposed to be kind of doing all the social distancing and all that, at least for a little while, I think it's going to be a little weird, like trying to get things going again and just trying to get back in the swing of things, I guess. But, I think overall, what Jack was saying about, things kind of distilling down into what, the people, the individual members are looking for. I think that's what's eventually is really going to happen. It's not going to be, I think everybody's trying to join every body, and there's still going to be lots of people that want to join all the bodies and want to be really active in everything. But I think people are really going to start to focus more on what their interests are and being, more engaged in those interests as opposed to, just kind of generally participating in every single thing that can possibly happen. I think people are really going to start to focus more on, the quality of what they're getting out of it.
And that's a good perspective, especially from someone who is actually sitting in the East and the things that you're going to have to deal with. I appreciate that answer. Pete, what do you think? Do you think what we've been through is going to prompt maybe more mergers of lodges? You think that's going to change things? You think there are going to be maybe smaller lodges merging together with other smaller lodges in order to survive? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's different in every area. I only know our area. So in the first Masonic district, it's 9 or 10 lodges. And that's all within one county. So you can drive from one end of the county to the other end of the county in 30, 40 minutes. That's just too much. I could see maybe maintaining 2 or 3 buildings, but we don't need to maintain 9 buildings. We can still have local lodges and in name and for membership and doing community functions. But I just can't see. I know for myself, this time off has been amazing. I had no idea. I was out probably 3 nights a week. And it's just
sometimes
I know,
5, right?
Right. And I know when we go back, I'm going to be very excited to go back to like 2 or 3 things. And I'm really going to focus on them. I'm going to really wind down some of I'm going to keep paying my dues, but you're probably not going to see me as often at some of these other bodies. Just, I'm enjoying this time with my family in my house.
And that's what I was referring to when I say, and we're kind of in that in between age. I think all of us, Larry might be on the other end, but there is that balance, that life balance that I think, Pete, I think you articulated it very well. We've kind of come to see it during this time, and I think it can't help but have an effect on what this looks like on the other side. I do think, Larry, to directly answer your question, I think we were going to see a consolidation of lodges regardless. I think this will ramp that up.
Agree.
I know there are lodges out there right now that, they depend on the revenue of their rentals to pay their bills. And they're not getting that right now. They haven't been getting that. And so the sick list, if you will, of lodges, I think is just going to get bigger. It has gotten bigger. And I think you're going to see much more consolidation. And I think it's not just within blue lodges. I think there are all of these bodies that Pete talked about that are going to have to take a hard look at themselves as well. I think there are some that have actually excelled during this time. I think the work that the Scottish Rite of the Northern Masonic Jurisdiction has done with their video degrees. If you've been a part of any of those things and just watched the stuff going on in the chats, people love those things. And so, the ability to come wherever you are and sit and enjoy that and enjoy, they haven't asked my opinion on this, but I'll give it anyway. I think if they provided an opportunity for some fellowship and follow up after those things, I think you could well see guys saying, why the heck would I want to go to a reunion and sit in a room where I fall asleep after lunch and watch these on a stage play when I can watch them, very professionally produced in the comfort of my own home while I'm smoking a cigar and having a nice bourbon.
Yeah, the production values are pretty amazing.
Off the charts, really.
Yeah, they took that from us, I think.
Yes, they did. I think they took their lead definitely from
Definitely, no doubt.
Yeah.
But why is there laughter? What?
Hey, you
Anyway.
think we should take a break right now?
Larry, do you need to take a break, Larry?
No, actually, I don't. I can put. I have a jug for that. I don't have to go anywhere.
All right. Well, we'll take a break anyway, and we'll be back with more on this discussion.
At the historic Smithton Inn of Ephrata, Pennsylvania, we're pleased to serve the latest creations from Weathered Vineyard Winery, along with spirits from Thistlefinch Distillery in Lancaster, all to be experienced in the tasting room of a beautifully restored 18th century bed and breakfast. Cigars by D&S Cigar are available for your enjoyment in the courtyard. The historic Smithton Inn is convenient to Lancaster County's most interesting attractions. Just minutes from the Ephrata Cloister and the Green Dragon Farmers Market. And a short drive can get you to charming Lidditz, thriving downtown Lancaster, as well as Hershey, Bird in Hand, and Intercourse, or Valley Forge and Gettysburg. Whether you're looking for a romantic getaway or an active vacation full of sightseeing and attractions, the historic Smithton Inn will be a welcoming oasis from everyday life, one that you'll want to visit again and again. Stop in and visit at 900 West Main Street in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, or check out our website at historicsmithtoninn.com, or simply call us at 717-733-6094. Just ask for Pastmaster Dave.
So the thing that concerns me is whether the distance thing is going to be impossible to deal with if there's a mass consolidation. Like, okay, do we need Reading and Harrisburg? I don't know. I mean, we're talking about Pennsylvania here because that's what we know.
Right.
Well, you don't need Lancaster.
You certainly don't need a valley in Lancaster. But it's always been there, and that's the way we always did it. I don't know. Are people going to be willing to drive? And I know this is going to sound ridiculous to the people in Texas or Montana, but are people here going to be willing to drive an hour and a half to a fraternal meeting?
Well, how about the people in northwestern Pennsylvania where they had 7 lodges consolidate into one a year or so ago? And it's now like a 2-hour drive to go to a lodge meeting.
Yeah. I just don't see it. I don't see that. I see that being less sustainable than more lodges. And some of it comes down to if people had been careful about their money. I mean, when I hear about 150-year-old lodges that don't have any money, come on. Well, really? In 150 years, nobody ever figured out how to save a little money? Really? That's just bad stewardship. And I hate to even hear those kinds of things, but I don't know. I question. It's good. I don't know. It's going to be weird. I question whether a lot of these bodies are going to be sustainable just in general.
I
No,
think it comes down to anything can work if there's some effort put into it. Like, I would drive an hour and a half for a good evening. Like, I watched that presentation on, I guess, Netflix about the lodges in England. And, they're not meeting 2-3 times a month. They have a meeting like every other month or so, and it's an event. And you go there and you're there from like 4:30 till maybe 10 o'clock at night. And I just think people need to put a little more work into their programs to make it something that people want to attend.
So how do you do that? The problem is lodges around here don't fail because they're broke. They fail because you can't get leaders.
Yeah.
Right.
So now you're going to ask them to do better.
One of the things that I'm sorry.
No,
one of the things
go
I
ahead.
noticed when I was at the Lodge of Research in England, they had basically about an hour and a half, 2-hour meeting, and then they adjourned to a festive board. And that went on till 1 o'clock in the morning. Food, drink. I mean, it was fabulous. I went to the lodge up in Allentown that, what do you call those?
Traditional Observance Lodge.
Traditional Observant Lodge. And I attended that in Allentown, where they essentially had a 1-hour meeting with a program, very good, and then adjourned to the restaurant, Brazilian Steakhouse, for about a 3-hour session after that.
Right.
Was probably, both of those meetings were some of the finest experiences I've ever had in Freemasonry. And I think the key for lodges to succeed now is to do something like that.
Yeah.
See, here's my opinion on that. Like, me personally, I think that would be great to have that kind of an experience. But if I look at the members of Lamberton Lodge, and most of them don't want that.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, but I think that's where what Jack was talking about, and I mean, I don't want to pick on Lamberton because there are other lodges that are like that, but I think those will continue to exist, right, and they'll just continue to decline until the numbers don't match up, and then someone at the Grand Lodge or somewhere says, "Okay, you got to merge."
Right.
And I think maybe we have to, for a while, do both.
Yeah.
We have to raise that level of interesting meetings, but we have to sustain that standard meeting that guys come out to. And I tried to do this when I was master 10, 12 years ago and keep the old guys, status quo as it was, but bring other new stuff, extracurricular stuff. And now, we found some of these other more nuanced bodies that provide some of that. But, there's requirements, there's, other memberships that you have to have in order to qualify for this or that. And who knows how many of those there are. But it may be that there's a secondary level that we can get going, even within the lodges, like Josh at Lamberton. And again, not to pick on Lamberton, but maybe there's a small group assembly that could really build some momentum under the radar. Maybe at Ephrata, there's 10 guys who would really like to get together and read interesting papers and discuss them. I don't know whether there are or aren't.
Well, see, to me, that's what these appendant bodies should be. If we have a chapter, a council, and a commandery all in Lancaster, plus AMD and Grotto and Tall Cedars, every one of these bodies should take that mantle and be the place. If you want to join, if you want to take your things to this level, if you want to have a nice social dinner with your spouse, maybe it's Tall Cedars. If you want to go drinking with the guys, maybe it's Grotto. In every region it's going to be a little different because they're all, I've been to areas where Grotto's boring. But around here, Grotto's fun. So I don't know. I just think the Blue Lodges probably just need to continue to be a Blue Lodge.
Well, but I think you're gonna see growth in the way that they operate as well, because I mean, a good example, our current master, let's see, I'm trying to remember if he did it. Yeah, it was last summer when he was putting together his line and his program for this year. Had a cookout at his house, and we were able to run numbers, and I provided him with the names and phone numbers and email addresses of all of our members under the age of 50. And there were actually more than we thought. Then he invited them to a cookout, and they had a Saturday where they just kind of enjoyed each other's company. And basically what he said to them was, look, I want to begin the process of making this your lodge. He's on the front end of that age range, but he recognizes that, the 70, 80 and 90-year-old members are the ones that are leaving us involuntarily. But the future is going to be those folks. And they've continued that type of get together. I think things like, as you mentioned, appendant bodies, even things like the Cigar Lodge, which are specific things that bring people together for whatever the subject is, I think can be part of this transformation of the fraternity. So
it'd be nice and believe me, like the district deputy around here, like all district deputies and masters, is overwhelmed with, keeping the ship afloat.
Uh-huh.
But I think there almost needs to be some sort of committee or some sort of group that tries to focus on Freemasonry as a whole for a region. So, I mean, just the little things we've always talked about, like why are these two bodies having an event on the same night and both having crappy attendance? Like, just trying to map out where we want, because we're all, at least in this area, we're all Pennsylvania Masons. So let's figure out a way that we can work together to help everybody instead of working against each other.
I'm sorry, that's not how we did it in my day.
I mean, there was a day when this fraternity was so popular that, if the guys that you're hanging out with didn't meet your idea of what you wanted, you got together with 20 or 30 guys and you created something new. And everybody kept doing that. And now we have, as many bodies as we have members.
Yeah, very true.
I mean, think about it. In Lancaster, we had a tiny little lodge room in the 1700s, and probably in the 1960s, after, they had 3 separate lodges now it got turned into, and then they bought a bigger building. Well, now we've got this massively huge building and 2 lodges that really ought to be 1. Like, but we don't want to go backwards because that's,
I just think, I think we can't change the structure of it, right?
Right.
We can't say, all right, now you 5 appendant bodies, we need to sit down and have a big powwow, and we're all going to coordinate. But I don't believe that that's possible. Even if it were possible here, it wouldn't be possible around the country. So it doesn't hold. I think what we have to do is concentrate somewhere. And I always believe that somewhere is Blue Lodge, because if the Blue Lodge is healthy, everything else follows. Without a healthy Blue Lodge, everything else dies. So we need to really start giving those people in Blue Lodge what it is they're looking for. And Josh, if it's they just want to come and hear the minutes and complain about something, and eat a piece of pie and go home, then we have to give that to them. But if there's a bunch of guys that want to, do a deep dive on the allegory of the cave, then we need to give that to them. And it just, it keeps coming back to that. And every time I want to fix the fraternity, it keeps coming back to the Blue Lodge. And we have to just maximize the Blue Lodge, and everything else will take care of itself one way or another.
But unfortunately, I think we're all in agreement that the next year or two are going to be some dark times number-wise.
Oh, so here, interesting thing. One of our past masters at Ephrata went into the secretary's minute books from 1917 and 1918, when the Spanish flu was ripping through the country. And the lodge, our lodge, Ephrata Lodge, at that point was 7 and 8 years old. Didn't miss a single meeting all year. We brought in like 7 new members the first year and 14 new members the second year. All of those guys got 3 degrees. So,
but World War I had just ended too, and there's a lot of guys looking for things to do.
Granted, but it was the high water mark of the Spanish flu pandemic. So, the lodge made it through that, and made it through the Great Depression, and made it through World War II, and just the lodge. As long as we keep stoking it, the lodge will be there. We just have.
Larry, you were around. Tell us about with the Spanish flu and the Depression.
Well, I was really born right after that, so all I can remember is my grandmother and grandfather talking about it.
Oh, well, I think once again
they all lost relatives, and they never really talked that much about it.
Well, I think we did a good job once again of trying to solve the problems of the world.
Let's take another episode about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and apparently nothing took.
Right. Yeah, let's keep after it then.
But this is how we always do it. So let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll hear. Are we going to hear from Dutchie Doug this week? I think, and we'll be right back.
Hello, brethren. Dutchie Doug here with another story from my lodge, the Broken Plow number 377. In my last segment, I told you guys about us having a meeting when we shouldn't have. Well, I finally got the message that the Grand Master sent out about ceasing all Masonic activities until further notice. And since I'm the secretary, I passed the word on to all of our brethren. For most of us, the lodge is our only contact with someone that isn't a close relative, a bovine, an equine, or a member of the poultry family. Many of our members took the news pretty darn hard. Going to lodge was our one night a month that got us off the farm and away from our wives. Many of the brothers decided that we can't just cut off all communication. Discussion was had as to how we could keep our fraternal activities going. Some suggested using Zoom, but sadly, some of our brethren don't have high-speed internet. Heck, some of our brethren don't even know what the internet is, let alone have a digital meeting. After much discussion, it was decided that we would all agree on a night in April when we would each light a bonfire in our barnyards. We'd all grab a drink of choice, sit down and enjoy our communal fires. Since many of us all live in the same hollow, we can all see smoke from each other's farmhouse chimneys, so the idea of communal bonfires was an idea which we could all get behind. I passed the word to the brethren that April 15th would be the date. At exactly 7 p.m., we would all light a bonfire at our respective properties, and we would all say a toast to the lodge and its officers. Now, as some of you know, guys playing with fire can lead to problems. There had always been a friendly feud between two families in our lodge. Of course, each family wanted their bonfire to be the largest and the most visible. Yes, the Schmidts and the CIGARS. Those two families had been at odds since Lincoln was in the White House. Some of us had heard about them trying to outdo each other again, and we were all interested to see how it would all play out. The main problem was that the Schmidts weren't the brightest bunch. Just how slow are they? Well, let's just say that they keep their manure pile right next to their well. In any event, 7 p.m. came and slowly trails of white smoke started to waft throughout our valley. It was really neat sight. I lifted my glass of applejack, toasted the lodge, and took a sip. I settled down for a nice quiet evening and lit a real nice cigar. As I was sitting there, I kept my eyes in the direction of the Schmidt and Jaeger farms, just waiting to see what would happen. Slowly, one farm's smoke trail got larger than the other. Then the fires started to get brighter and brighter. It really was neat to see. At one point, I could actually see the flames from the tip of the Jaeger's fire. To be honest, it was a pretty sight. This had to set off the Schmidts, because after the fact, I found out that little Josie Schmidt decided to up the ante. He ran into the barn and grabbed what he thought was a bag of old sawdust to throw on the fire. What he didn't realize was that it was a bag of old fertilizer. Little brother Josie had no idea what he was about to do. Within seconds of throwing the bag onto the fire, boom! An explosion rocked the valley. I was knocked off my chair and my glass of applejack went flying. After the fact, all of this reminded me of how we are taught to use the compasses to keep our desires within due bounds. Brother Josie must not have listened to that part of the degree. However, this story does not end in sorrow. Within seconds of the explosion, the Jaeger boys ran to the Schmidt's farm to make sure that all was okay. Luckily, everyone escaped the explosion with all of their ditchets still attached. Brother John Jaeger helped Brother Josie Schmidt back to his feet using a proper Masonic grip. They embraced each other and both agreed that this nonsense between their families has to stop. Brotherly love and affection won the day, but I must admit, it did make the night sky pretty darn beautiful, even if it was only for a split second. Till next time, work hard, stay plumb, and on the lights when you leave the room.
And we're back. It's great to hear from all of our regular Masonic Light podcast contributors. So I think we're going to start to wrap things up here. Let's see what everyone has going on over the next couple of weeks. Pete, let's start with you.
Really, for the next week or so, my goal is to get all these stinking jewels out to people that I can. Try to make everybody happy there. And whenever that is cleaned up, I'm going to be focusing my efforts on our next production that's going to come out maybe in August sometime, which will be the Knights of the Zoroasters. And that is an old degree that was designed specifically for the demouling company to kind of provide a reason for you to buy their hazing equipment. It was written in 1897. So we're, going through there and we're trying to
politically correcting a bunch of stuff.
We're modernizing it. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, I'll make sure you get anybody that has it when we're done has access to the old degree. But in 1897, there was some very overt racism that we want to totally get away from. And some of the jokes just don't stand up today. So, and I'm planning on doing the illustrations again. So I'll be doodling from now until August.
All right, Jack, how about you?
Nothing.
All right. Pete's dogs have something to say.
Yeah, well, my wife took one of them for a walk and then locked him in the other room behind a baby gate.
Oh, that was good. He's upset.
I will say, I was at Pete's house today, and it was wonderful to walk in and be greeted by two happy, friendly Dobermans who did not want to rip my throat out. It was awesome.
You have to admit, though, there was a little had to have been some hesitancy as you walked up the sidewalk.
Yes, there was definitely some PTSD happening there, but I got through it and we had a nice time.
Well, the big red one and the little blue one are both nice. The two ones I had before were not so nice, but
okay, Josh, how about you?
Not really a whole lot. Just the stuff I kind of mentioned earlier. We got our Zoom meeting coming up next week, I guess. And then later in the month, we're hoping to do something special for our 150th.
Great. Larry?
No, same as Jack and most of you guys. Not a whole lot of anything.
Okay. Well, I've actually got a couple of things. Obviously, as I've reported on the last several of these shows, every night at 9 o'clock Eastern, we have the nightly toast. You can get details on that on our website. On Monday, June the 1st, Eureka West Shore Lodge number 302 is going to sponsor a blood drive. I'm sorry. That is Monday, June the 8th. Monday, June 8th. That is outside now the 2-week window of when we can start to have events. From 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., you must have an appointment. And so members of Eureka West Shore Lodge will be contacted about setting up an appointment. Or if you would like to donate blood and you're in the central Pennsylvania area, you can call the Central Pennsylvania Blood Center and schedule your appointment on Monday, June the 8th from 10 to 7 p.m., 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then, assuming we continue down this road of reopening and starting to get back to green, on Sunday, September the 13th, a joint gathering of the Cigar Lodge and the Valley of Harrisburg are jointly hosting a pig roast, cigar smoker, and also any candidates from any of the valleys in Pennsylvania that had people who were scheduled to get their 4th degree in the spring can bring them there. There will be I don't know if it's going to be a showing or a performing of the 4th degree for those people. But you can go to the Valley of Harrisburg website and get tickets for that. They're on sale, $25 a piece, I believe it is. And that'll be a family event. So folks can come if you have people interested in Scottish Rite Masonry or want to come hang out at the Cigar Lodge, or frankly, at that point, just looking for something to do on a Saturday afternoon. Go to the Valley of Harrisburg at www.valleyofharrisburg.org, and you can get those tickets. I think that's about it for now. So, Josh, I think it's time to cue the chickens, and Larry, take us out of here.
All right, here we go. Special thanks to Everett Lodge 665 for making their broadcast studio available. Although we haven't been there since the middle of March, but we're still thanking them anyway because we are assuming it's still there for us to use.
Pretty sure.
Thanks. Yeah.
There's a lot of bandwidth there that we're not using.
Thanks to Josh Lamberton, producer and director, who continues to make the show great. And I'm sorry, but the more I talk, the more my voice fades. Thanks to Jack Harley, our news director, Tim Dedman, our marketing director, to our Masonic Light podcast contributors, Michelle Snyder, Jim Stevens, and Doug Mattenford. And I just wanted to close by saying, I had a friend, I just learned this, who was killed by a weasel. He was walking by the railroad track and he didn't hear the weasel.
Oh, no.
This is Larry Merris, and thanks for listening.
This is Tim.
This is Pete. I'm just speechless.
Goodbye,
this is John.
Bye,
Good night.
everybody.
Bye-bye.